Hello everyone! Starting October with someone who hasn't been there for quite some time, which is TeruShouEnnoTana. I was so looking forward to getting back to them because, goddamn, I have a lot of ideas for them. And I noticed you seem to quite like them too, which makes me really happy, so have something for them again. Just to be clear, this is not yet part of the Ominous October series. That's going to start a bit later. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch my videos. You are keeping this channel going and alive. Thank you so much, and I hope you will enjoy. The first thing Terushima felt in the morning was warmth, literal and figurative. A soft smile curled his lips when, in the tangle of limbs and blankets, he recognized Enoshita's arms wrapped around his middle, holding on to him like a koala. Mesmerized by the sight of his boyfriend in the morning, he gently ran his fingers through the slightly mussed-up black hair, making sure he didn't disturb Enoshita's sleep, which he so desperately needed after the last week. However, he had a lot to do to conceal his laughter when he looked over at the other end of their ginormous bed and spotted Tanaka lying on his back, sprawled like a starfish and taking up most of the space. He was just about to reach for his phone and snap a picture of Tanaka drooling on the pillow to add to his folder of blackmail material when he paused, realizing one present was missing. Confused, he carefully wiggled out of Enoshita's grip and turned around, his confusion only intensifying when he couldn't see Dashio even anywhere behind him, the sheets already cold. Weird? It wasn't unusual for Dashio to sleep a bit aside, since he still wasn't, according to his own words, used to being all tangled throughout the night, but for him to be gone this early in the morning was odd. Maybe another nightmare? That wouldn't be good. He pressed his lips together, worried. Dashio's nightmares were something they were all acutely aware of. They plagued his mind the whole time they moved in together a month ago, and most definitely even before that, often not allowing him to sleep properly for hours. And while Dashio never told them what they were about, just witnessing him wake up screaming, drenched in cold sweat and shaking, was enough for Terushima to guess how messed up they must have been. Determined to figure out what was going on, he carefully unwrapped himself from the duvet and headed to the living room, where he expected Dashio would most likely be if he really got hit by another nightmare. Just to be sure, he checked the bathroom along the way, worried he might have misjudged the situation and something worse could be happening. But the bathroom was empty, as was their office and, surprisingly enough, even the living room and kitchen. He was already starting to panic, all kinds of dark scenarios rushing through his mind when he spotted Dashio's phone left on the table, when he heard a soft click of a door being opened behind his back. Dashio looked as surprised to see him as Terushima was, though the surprise on Terushima's side soon turned into relief. Here you are. I thought Earth swallowed you or something. Dashio let the glass garden door clap shut behind him, tilting his head in confusion, which, together with the red tint coloring his cheeks from the cold outside, and still slightly mussed-up hair from the night, made him look absolutely adorable. I just wanted to take a breather. It's nice outside. Terushima hummed, reaching his arms out in a silent invitation, his heart fluttering when Dashio snuggled to him. You should dress more if you go outside now. You are cold. The soft laugh he earned sounded like the loveliest music to his ears. I wasn't out for that long, and it's nice to cool down a bit in the morning. Yeah, but what if you get sick again? You know you don't do well in cold. He instinctively rubbed Dashio's back, trying to get some warmth back into his skin. His care earned him a tender smile and a gentle bump of their foreheads. Alright, I promise I'll wear a sweatshirt next time. You better. He pulled away a bit, just enough to cup Dashio's cheek. Why are you up so early? A shadow of pain Terushima unfortunately became very familiar with crossed Dashio's face before he averted his eyes, confirming Terushima's worries. Bad dream again? Dashio visibly hesitated before giving a short nod in answer. Terushima sighed and pulled him back to his chest. Sorry. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I'll listen if you do. I want them to stop. Why won't they stop already? For that, Terushima had no answer, and so he just continued to rub Dashio's back, hoping to soothe his mind with his presence, at least for now. Have you eaten already? Huh? Oh, no, not yet. Then let's make something before those two sleepers wake up, We can take it outside if you want. But you have to take a sweatshirt. Or blanket. Dashio gave him a soft smile, squeezing his hand for a second. Sounds great. I can't believe you started breakfast without us. Terushima rolled his eyes at Tanaka's huffing that went on since he wobbled out of the bedroom half an hour ago, and continued to enjoy the morning sun warming his face. We would starve if we waited for you. Tanaka was already preparing to continue grumbling, but then closed his mouth again when Enoshita laid his hand on his head. It's not a big deal. The food is still here, and we are together either way. My words. Thanks, Chica. Tanaka scrunched his nose before finally digging into the omelette on his plate, earning a short chuckle from Enoshita. There you go. Sorry, we overslept a bit. He settled between Dashio and Terushima, almost immediately taking hold of Dashio's hand, making him blush, and Terushima snort a short laugh. Though he couldn't really blame Enoshita for loving Dashio's hands, slightly calloused for a volleyball, with long fingers that often made Terushima wonder why he didn't play setter. All in all, a kind he didn't want to let go of once he took hold of them. Unfortunately for him, Enoshita was usually faster in that, just like now. At least it seemed like Enoshita's touch was a great way to help Dashio settle. What's the plan for today? Enoshita shrugged. I don't know, you tell me. You said you don't want to be home. Because we finally have a chance to go out all together again. We can't let that pass. Well then, what's your idea? I say we go shopping. We have enough food though. We went shopping yesterday, remember? Terushima clicked his tongue, grumbling under his breath about being the only one thinking about the activity. As if it wasn't difficult enough to put together their busy schedules in a way that left them at least one day in 2 weeks' time when they all could be together. Now he had to deal with rejection before he could even flesh out his plan. I didn't mean grocery shopping. He glanced at Dashio, who was watching him with expectancy, yet also with slight nervousness written in his eyes. But Suku's been living with us for almost a month now and he still doesn't have his own space. We should do something about that, don't you think? Dashio's lips parted. You don't have to bother with that. I'm fine like this, really. But Yuji is right. He ran his thumb over the back of Dashio's hand, a soft smile resting on his lips. We all have our little space in the house. And you are part of the family now too, so it wouldn't be fair if you didn't have yours. Yep, exactly. So how about we go shop for some stuff? Anything you want. Dashio stayed frozen for a while, only his eyes darting uncertainly over them as if looking for signs that he was being made fun of or lied to. Terushima gave him a reassuring smile, but deep down, seeing that expression back on Dashio's face filled him with fury against that bastard who made him doubt everything like this. The one who made him scared of even expressing his opinion, and think 3 times about everything. You don't have to have any concrete idea in mind. You can just walk around and get what you like. We did that with Ryu Space too. Yep. That, combined with Enoshita's naturally magical touch, seemed to calm Dashio down a bit, enough to lure a little grateful smile from him. Alright, I would love that. Great, so the plan for today is set. But first, breakfast. You and Ryu are horrible when you are hungry. That no one had to tell Terushima twice. The walk through the shop ended up being even more pleasant than Terushima hoped for. It took a while for Dashio to relax, as always when they went out where there were a lot of people, but the moment they got to a part where they were almost alone, the change in Dashio's mood was significant. Terushima was glad for that, his previous worries dissipating as he helped his boyfriend choose the best decorations for his little sanctuary, which they decided to make the spare bedroom into. That way, he could have his peace whenever he wanted, without worrying about waking them up, Enoshita explained when he told Dashio about their decision. And while Terushima would much prefer having Dashio next to him throughout the night, he understood his boyfriend's need for being left alone from time to time. What about this green one? I think that could fit. Dashio flinched a bit when Tanaka's strong voice boomed through the aisle, but then nodded when he saw the little wooden box Tanaka held above his head. Yeah, looks nice. Would you put it to the others? Tanaka flashed him a grin. Sure thing. Come here. There's a lot of stuff like that. Terushima could swear he saw Dashio hesitate for a second before he followed where Tanaka pointed. Tanaka had to notice it too, if only judging by the shadow of uncertainty flashing over his face for that brief second. There was always hesitation in Dashio's behavior when it came to Tanaka, and Terushima wasn't sure why that was, or what to do about it. Surely Dashio knew Tanaka would never hurt him, right? Right? Though, with Sugu's past, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. They didn't know enough to say for sure, but Terushima didn't see any other reason. And if that was really the case, then they had to go slowly. Rushing things would only lead to a disaster. Yuji, come on, or we will leave you here. He huffed, offended by the implication, and rushed to Enoshita, wrapping his arms around his waist. No, you won't. You would miss me too much. You sure? Very sure. After all, who was it that said he can't get a proper rest when I'm not there to snuggle to, huh? Sounds familiar? Enoshita raised his eyebrow, a cheeky smile playing in the corner of his mouth when he tucked Terushima in for a kiss. I have no idea what you are talking about. Is that so? Hey, lovebirds, you're taking too long, hurry up. We are already done here. Terushima snickered, and pressing one more kiss to Enoshita's cheek, he entwined their fingers together. Let's not make our other quarters wait. Wouldn't that be sad? We should stop for a coffee. I would kill for a coffee. Terushima made a grimace, already smelling the horrible black coffee Enoshita insisted on drinking any time they went out. But if it meant they could spend more quality time together, he could live with that. But of course, it wasn't entirely his decision to make, so he gently nudged Dashio's shoulder. Enough social battery in your storage for a coffee and or dessert? Yeah, sure. If it's not extremely busy. It's not, don't worry. It's a nice little sweets shop not far from here. They have the best coffee around here, and their cakes are delicious. You'll love it, you'll see. Dasho nodded, even smiling a bit as he relaxed back into the car seat. Alright, sounds great. They soon walked through the door of the somewhat inconspicuous house, the scent of coffee and sweets hitting Terushima's nose the moment he set foot inside. Saliva gathered in his mouth when he saw the sweets on display, almost forgetting to greet the older woman behind the counter as his mind zeroed solely on the various desserts, one more delicious looking than the other. He heard Enoshita chuckle next to him. Seems like I've picked a good spot. Go on, order. My treat today. Tanaka's eyes actually glossed over when he threw his arms around Enoshita. My darling, you are so generous and amazing and the greatest. Enoshita just rolled his eyes at Tanaka's usual antics, but the fond look in his eyes betrayed his true thoughts. Terushima didn't waste time and ordered, though he was already putting together a plan on how to return the favor next time, and dragged Tanaka to one of the tables by the windows, but with one seat conveniently placed in the corner. Come on, don't make a ruckus or they will kick us out before Chika gets the first sip. Tanaka pouted but followed, grumbling something about Terushima being the exact same way, so when did he get so mighty? Terushima ostentatiously ignored it and settled down, ready to pounce on the cake in front of him the moment they were all seated. Though, speaking of sweets... He glanced up and smiled. The sight of his two beloved boyfriends consulting their choice of dessert together equaled the taste of the sweetest chocolate in the world. He was sure he had to be smiling like a love-struck idiot, but there was hardly anyone who could blame him. Least of all Tanaka, ever the biggest sim for Enoshita he had ever met. Maybe that's why Sugu is so hesitant around him, because he doesn't show him the same level of affection like to us. He shook his head. That could hardly be the main source of the issue. Tanaka was just careful around him to not trigger something nasty in his head. He loved Daisho too, despite not dating for that long yet. There was no doubt in Terushima's mind about it. So what was the real problem? He was snapped out of his thoughts by two loudly whispering voices from behind his back. Those two at the counter. Pretty, eh? Yeah, the green-haired one especially. Watch where they sit down. Maybe we could join them for a little chat, you know? Terushima turned after the voices, gritting his teeth, feeling Tanaka doing the exact same thing. The freaking audacity. They are both taken, so I think the heck not. The guys paused for a beat before one of them leaned on their table, his face almost inviting Terushima to just punch him there and then. How would you know, huh? Because we are here with them. So fuck off if you don't want to end up face first in a trash can. Terushima grinned to himself upon seeing the two recoil slightly with the low growl in Tanaka's voice. Works every time. Sheesh, sorry, we had no idea they had guard dogs with them. And we are not afraid to bite. So stop ogling our boyfriends, They are way out of your league anyway. With that, he turned away, letting the two do whatever they wanted with their words. What was that about? He put on his best innocent grin. Nothing. Just a friendly word of advice from one admirer of beauty to... whatever that is. To his relief, Enoshita just sighed with an eye roll and sat down opposite Tanaka, leaving the corner chair to still slightly confused Daisho. Terushima reached for Daisho's hands, smiling as he squeezed them lightly. Don't worry about it. Everything is fine. As long as they were around, no one could get even close to Daisho. Definitely no one capable of hurting him in any way. Daisho seemed to understand the unsaid words and returned the smile in his own shy way, briefly entwining their fingers. Alright. They were just about to dig into their respective desserts when Dashio's phone clinked with a new message. He quickly ran his eyes over the text, a soft smile appearing on his lips. Good news? Yeah, it's Kuguri. Apparently they talked everything out with his boyfriends and they are all set again. That's awesome! See, I told you don't have to worry. It was a big thing, Terushima knew. Kuguri was Dashio's favorite kohai, even to this day, and he took it pretty hard when he heard about the unfortunate misunderstanding between the triad. But now, everything seemed good again. Yeah, I know. I just didn't want him to suffer. He doesn't deserve that. But it's good he learned he can open up about his feelings. Now, only if you apply that lesson to yourself too. They all paused. Not necessarily because of what Tanaka said, but rather the way he did. Dashio recalled a bit. Lesson? What he means is that you also tend to keep things for yourself, especially your feelings. He gave Tanaka a meaningful and perhaps slightly warning glare. Right? Yeah. What did I say? Terushima tensed, all of his muscles straining to jump in and protect, despite knowing Tanaka didn't mean it in a bad way. But Dashio looked scared, and no one got to hurt Dashio when he was around, no matter who the person was. Then, Dashio sighed and lowered his eyes, breaking the tense atmosphere. I know. I'm sorry. I'll work on it. I promise. Enoshita covered his hand. It's fine. Take it at your own pace. You don't have to rush. But please remember we are here for you. No matter what you need to do, say or get, we are here to help. I know. Thank you. Letting out a relieved breath, Terushima rubbed his hands together, his eyes once again fixed on the cake in front of him. Well then, don't mind if I start the feast now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so glad I can bring this ship back because I just came to love them so much. Like, it was clear I'm going to like it because I love Dashio, I love Enotana, I love Terusho and all that stuff. So putting them together was one of my better ideas in my writing career. Anyway, I can't wait to bring them back again for the Ominous October because they have one prompt for them and I'm so looking forward to writing that. It's going to be fun. I mean, all of them are going to be fun, but this one is the one I'm really looking forward to. So I hope I lured you a bit into the excitement for the Ominous October with this. There's a lot of good prompts in this one. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!